Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 8th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Monday, happy Garfield Day to ya. Hopefully you got that lasagna. Hopefully you got a piece of that thing with some garlic bread, maybe some seconds, maybe some wine on the side, I don't know. Hopefully you got it all. Hopefully today was a good day to you. For me, it was good. It was solid, especially for a Monday, back at work on a cold day. We will take it. I will say I got to work a little bit late. I don't have any reason. I woke up and I just wasn't moving. I just wasn't moving and grooving on time, and led to me being a little bit behind. But overall, we got there just a few minutes late. Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. And of course, we got right after it. Well, not quite. I get to the job. I see the crusher is still filled from the other night, previous night, over the weekend, whatever. And I was like, oh, well, that's not good. So I try to work as best I can. I think I maybe get 15, 20 minutes into my day. And I see that the crusher is just, it's filled. Just straight up, I'm trying to fill something that is already filled. And, I'm like, there's just no point. And I know I can prove, hey, it goes up to this number. And I know it's the number that they want to see. I'm like, all right, then I'm done. I did my due diligence on this. So I'm hanging out in maintenance. And I hang out in maintenance for about maybe over an hour, at least over an hour, pretty much until my first break of the day. And as I am walking to the break room, I see, oh, okay, well, at least they're switching it out now. Okay, that's good. Awesome. The day's not going to be a complete wash. So, I take my break. I come back. They're still working on it. All right, whatever. And then finally, topside lead comes down. And also my lead is also there. And I was like, okay, you guys popped out of nowhere. All right, I'll pop up. And, I pretty much tell them like, hey, they're swapping it out now. I'll get on it, the second that it's ready to go. And that's what I proceed to do for the rest of the day. And overall from there, the day was pretty textbook. Yes, we were behind, but essentially since it's peak, it just is what it is. Crazily enough, we still wound up filling up the crusher before I left. So I was like, well, so it goes. We move pretty quick. But yeah, outside of it being just freezing, today was a good day. Today was solid. And, obviously, the Rumpke running behind, but, we're used to that, the best laid plans, falling folly. But yeah, overall, it was a good work day. I'll take it to the bank. From there, we went to the gym. Gym was a busy Monday, as I expected. No chance at the Smith machine. I look over to the free weight area. It's completely busy. Every bench is taken up. And I go, well, you know what we're going to be doing? Some substitutions. So I bounce around, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I see that a free weight bench opens up. I go ahead and get on it, do my whole routine there. Then pretty much bounce out, do some cardio, and we call it a day. I think in between the Stairmaster and the treadmill, I got on a couple of filler machines because I didn't quite get as much as I wanted to. But overall it was a good workout. I'll take it. Generally Monday, Tuesday, that's what happens. It's going to be a pretty packed house at Planet Fitness. But yeah, we got a good pump. We got a good sweat going. So that was good. And then we got home, had a little snack, did a little research, and here we are, ready to yap it out. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. A lot of the episode today is going to be some updates. Then we got some Supreme Court news stuff, and then another art heist to close it out, actually. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. First story comes from the BBC or BBC News. About 100 abducted school children released in Nigeria. About 100 children who were abducted from a Catholic school in central Nigeria last month have been freed. They arrived in the Niger state capital, Minna, in a fleet of minibuses escorted by military vans and armored vehicles, and were received by Governor Umar Bago. Details about their release remain unclear, including whether it was secured through negotiation or by force, and whether any ransoms were paid. Last month, more than 250 students and 12 staff were kidnapped from St. Mary's Catholic School in Papri, the latest in a wave of mass abductions. Then I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. And then all those taken in the Kwara and Kebbi attacks have since been freed. So there you go. A little bit of good news coming out of Nigeria. Last we had left that, there had been a slew of kidnappings. Some children had gotten freed. I believe the last number we had heard was like 50, and they had escaped. And now we don't know the details in terms of this group of 100. I don't know in terms of how many remaining. But hopefully, everyone can be, freed, and hopefully we see less of this in the future. Still no details in terms of like, okay, was there a specific group or anything like that? That's still, a bit of opaque to us right now. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on though from our next story, or move on to our next story, I should say, from ABC News. Paramount launches hostile bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. Paramount said Monday it's making a bid to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, swooping in just days after Netflix announced a $83 billion deal to purchase a large part of the media giant. Warner Brothers Discovery, or WBD, shareholders would be offered $30 per share, which represents a 139% premium to the stock price as of September 10th, 2025, Paramount said. The offer from Paramount encompasses the HBO Max streaming service, the Warner Brothers film production company, and cable channels such as CNN. Netflix established its agreement with Warner Brothers Discovery at a lower price of $27.75 per share through the Netflix offer excluded the cable channels. So this was a bit of a bolt out of the blue, but they were in conversations for talks. Like, this was all a part of a negotiation deal. It's also potentially kind of alleged that was part of the reason why they were being a little bit more compliant with the Trump administration, because they didn't want to see like a deal like this get soured. So seeing Netflix kind of come through big dog, and say, hey, all right, we locked in the deal. We put it on the table. We want these things and we're good to go. Well, that's not what Paramount wants. They wanted to get, all of this and then some. So they're saying, okay, well, we're willing to put, essentially $2.25 more per share down, which, is substantial. But granted, they do want more than Netflix does in that situation. So, now we have a bit more to come back to and talk about. We'll see if this deal gets accepted by Warner Brothers Discovery. If this is going to lead to any like legal rows or anything like that. I have no fucking idea. I'm just a guy in an armchair. So, this is all news to me. So I figured, hey, we go ahead and talk about it. And, I'm sure we'll be back to cover more. So don't change that channel. All right. Anyway, let's move on to our next story, though. From ABC News, yet again. Alina Habba resigns as New Jersey U.S. Attorney after appeals court defeat. After a 3-month battle over the legality of her appointment, Alina Habba has resigned from her position as the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey. She announced her resignation as U.S. Attorney in a social media post on Monday. She will remain serving as senior advisor to the Attorney General for U.S. Attorneys. The resignation comes after a protracted legal fight about whether she could serve in the U.S. Attorney role without Senate confirmation. We're not going to go through the whole rigmarole here. It's just important to know that she has just given up the fight. And she's mad. Her and Pam Bondi are saying the flawed, Third Circuit's appeal, or decision, I should say. They're saying, boo, this is fucked up. But I mean, hey, I'll spare you the baby rage quote from them. They're big mad though, but they'll get over it. I really don't understand why you just can't apply a little bit of patience here and just wait for a confirmation. But they're like, nah, we don't even want it anymore. We'll they're just picking up their ball and going home, I guess. I don't know. But we'll see what is the fate of New Jersey. I mean, it's not done. It's just Haba is essentially done fighting for the position. But I imagine they're going to probably try to just reinstall another crony, some kind of other loyalist, and maybe they'll go about it through the proper channels. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. But yeah, I felt like it was at least a relevant enough update to know that they are just giving up the whole ghost. They're just done with the whole process. And I mean, hey, I will take that. Anytime I get to talk about a Trump administration y'all know I'm going to pretty much be ready to yap about it. I mean, not entirely. I didn't talk about the Letitia James situation. The grand jury for the second time they tried to indict, they just did it. And usually you can indict a ham sandwich, and they're like, nah, like this is just not it. You tried to run this through before. We're not taking the play this time. So yeah, it's not looking good for them on some of this petty shit. It's really like one of those things where it's like, hey, you just can't have everything the way you want it. Like, yes, you're the executive branch, but you're not all powerful. But I mean, that's not going to stop them from trying, which is going to lead us to our next story, which I'm going to take a water break for, because this is going to require a lot of reading. But yeah, it's from CBS News. We got to talk about SCOTUS. We got to talk about Supreme Court. Ugh. Long-time listeners know I hate talking SCOTUS. I'm not a big fan. It's a lot of legal jargon. It's a lot of history. It's a lot of rah, rah, blah, blah. And especially when you have a supercharged conservative majority, you kind of already know where the shit goes. Like, it usually just moves one way, and you're kind of just talking about the details about how fucked are we. It's usually how this goes. But a bit of side news, side talk. I didn't really cover it, but it's relevant since we're talking about SCOTUS. Texas got their congressional map redistricting approved by the Supreme Court. That was something that came down the docket, I believe, this week, or might have been, it's Monday, so it would have been last week, I think, is when it got approved. I just didn't feel like talking about it. It just feels so redundant. We already know that this was gonna happen. It was just kind of getting paused a little bit of legality, lawfare fighting, whatever, I don't know. But, I mean, it seemed inevitable to me, so I just kind of was not surprised to hear SCOTUS say, let that shit rock, let it happen. But anyway, let me get to the story at hand. And I also want to preface too, I'm going to read this as much as I can until I'm just like, all right, I've read enough. We did enough. We're going to just segue on. We'll see. Maybe we get through the whole thing. I don't know. But Supreme Court seems open to allowing Trump to fire some agency officials without cause. The Supreme Court on Monday heard arguments over the president's authority to remove members of many independent agencies that Congress has sought to insulate from political pressure, with a majority of the justices appearing open to overturning a 90-year-old decision that shields some officials from removal without cause. The case, Trump v. Slaughter, arose from President Trump's attempt to fire a member of the Federal Trade Commission, Rebecca Kelly Slaughter, which I gotta say, dynamite, heading for a case, and then also dynamite name. Just fucking Rebecca Slaughter. Anyway, I mean, anything Slaughter is going to go hard. A 1935 Supreme Court ruling known as Humphrey's Executor upheld, I think I'm saying that correctly, whatever, upheld limits established by Congress that enabled the president to remove members of commissions like the FTC only for inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office. The Trump administration argues those limits violate the separation of powers. The FTC wields executive power, so the president should have the authority to fire its members for any reason, it says. Slaughter's attorneys argue the removal protections fall within Congress's power to determine the structure of the government, and say the administration's position would allow the president to upend many other longstanding independent agencies and commissions that have been established by Congress. During oral arguments at the Supreme Court on Monday, the three liberal justices defended the removal protections and warned that a decision in Mr. Trump's favor could cause chaos across the government. The court's conservatives, meanwhile, expressed skepticism with the argument that Congress could limit the president's ability to remove officials from the FTC and other independent agencies, opening the door to a ruling in the administration's favor. So yeah, I mean, we could do the whole rundown on the story, and I mean, it would be really worth, and there's a lot of good details and blah, blah, blah to pluck. But I think we are just gonna fucking put this one on ice and wait for a ruling, and then maybe we can just kind of dive all in and really just mire in the muck. But I will say it does look like, they are going to allow him some kind of power here. It might be specific to the executive branch, or maybe just an isolated thing in this case because you've proven your point. I don't know, but I do worry that this is going to be something that is going to open the floodgates to allow him just the power to fire anyone and everyone at will. Though he has kind of proven that he can do that, right? Like we've seen it with Doge. We've seen it with, just these kind of mass shutting downs of, departments and things like that. So, that might be in the future ruled like, oh, you weren't allowed to do that. Like these people should technically allowed to be rehired or whatever. But I mean, it's going to be too long. It's going to be too far off, too late. And, most of those people are not going to get that job back. Maybe they just get a chance for a legal recompense or something like that. But more or less, Trump got to get his wish. He got to have his fucking way. There just seems to be a little bit of inevitability on his side in that regard, but I would hope that some of the conservative justices kind of come around and say no, like we're giving this specific president too much power, and we're giving the executive in general too much power, which is something that would be counterintuitive to us, the judicial branch. But I mean, we'll see. They seem very like, hey, we want to give you what you want, but we don't want to fully give up any power that, from our end. Like, we don't want to do that. Or really don't want to, see Congress lose too much power because, they know they're fucking with the balances here. They know that. But they also know that it's like, this is kind of what we were put here to do, is to, push these conservative agendas. But they also don't want to get booed in the public, in the court of public opinion. I've definitely seen them kind of wilt and wither to that because they know that, people have to believe in the Supreme Court. Otherwise, you could just ignore the Supreme Court. It's kind of like a tulpa or something. You know what I mean? You have to invest energy into this. You have to believe in the shit that they're saying and want to abide by it. Otherwise, you just go, oh, well, you guys don't have a fucking standing army. So whatever. Well, we'll see. We'll see how things go. Let's just do that. We'll do it my way, that way. That way you only had to read a little bit. And by all means, the diehards, the article heads, you can go ahead and queue in and we can yap about it. 1v1. I would love that. One day I'll get that wish, that's the thing I'm also trying to promote here is that hopefully y'all come for the little blog spot, but you stay for the news, and then you want to talk about news, and you want to go look up news, and then we're all talking about more news, okay? I'm trying to make news as interesting as it possibly can be, okay? I know it's boring, but, it's important. Anyway, whatever. Let's move on. We got one more story to cover, but I made good ground. I made good time, so let's just... Take a good breath. Take a deep breath. All right, let's take our last break, and let's go ahead and close it out with an art heist. Yes. I love a heist. Honestly, it's been kind of a fun year for heists, kind of out of nowhere. A little bit of boop, a little bit of bow, Interesting, All right. All right, from ABC News. Brazil art heist. 8 Henri Matisse artworks among 13 pieces stolen in armed robbery. A brazen art heist from a library in Sao Paulo, Brazil, on Sunday has left 13 artworks missing, including 8 engravings by famed French painter Henri Matisse. The Sao Paulo state government confirmed to ABC News that 2 armed men broke into the Museu de Andrade library, stealing the 8 Matisse engravings and 5 works from Brazilian painter Candido Ponari. Brazil's military police told ABC News that one of the robbers held up a security guard and a couple of visitors during the burglary. So, that's not good. The suspects are at large and were last seen escaping into the, I'm totally fucking this up, mea culpa in advance, and Hangbao subway station, the government's office said. A team of investigators is on the scene and will analyze security cameras, police said. It is currently unclear how much the pieces were worth. The 13 pieces were part of the exhibition From the Book to the Museum, which was scheduled to end on Sunday. It was a collaboration between the Museum of Modern Art of São Paulo, or MAM, and the Library Museu de Andrade. In October of 2025, some 60 drawings by Matisse were sold for more than $2.5 million at Christie's auction in New York City. So I imagine that's kind of a bit to show like a price scale, if you will. So these are definitely some significant pieces worth a good chunk of fucking change. But yeah, I mean, let's just kind of move into our rating system here, right? I can't remember what I gave the Louvre. I think I gave it around a B to like a C once everything kind of started wrapping itself up. You know, everybody getting apprehended and whatnot. But you know, there was some sloppiness there, right? Now in this one, this art heist, I feel like it was a little bit more efficient, low key. And you got a 2-man. It's not as many people. It's half the people as were physically involved in the heist in the Louvre. I will say, like I said, you got to give them dings, problems. You know, a little bit of for the guns. You know, you don't want to see that, especially when all said and done. It's going to potentially up your what's it called? Your charge, because a gun was involved. It's an armed robbery. Also, you know, it's trauma. It's traumatic. What if you actually use them too? That would be bad. No good. But it seems very efficient to get 13 pieces in such a quick amount of time and get out. I mean, we will see how they fare. I also feel like with this situation, I don't know in terms of the fencing, right? In terms of like these pieces, how you're going to move them. I feel like you can't liquidate and then fence like a painting, right? It's got to go through a different kind of process in terms of how you're going to make your money off of that once you've stolen it. But yeah, no, that's more or less what I have. I guess I should give it a rating. What would you say? We'll start with a B here. B plus on our high scale. Definitely not an A, but because of the gun, you got to give dings for the gun. I think it's definitely possible to do a heist without a weapon, and you're just using your burglar tools. You're just getting in, you're just getting out, clean as a fucking whistle. You know, it's just about your setups and how bad do you want to get it like that. But I also understand, you know, you're in the way of the thief. You know, it isn't a much easier compliance tool to say, hey, get out of the way, or hey, do what I need you to do so I can get this thing and get out of here. But obviously, we are not advocating heists. I gotta say that as a podcaster, gotta put that disclaimer. You know, we're not trying to advocate for heists, but you know they are interesting, right? And they are news, and we're gonna cover interesting news. What can I say? It's just the gig. But yeah, that is it. That is where I will leave it. Let's see. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/AzaneNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, azanenews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Ooh, excuse me. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, always appreciated. But you don't have to do any of that. I really just appreciate you kicking it with me. Just letting me yap at you about the news is always a pleasure. Hopefully we can do it tomorrow. But yes, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.